Trying to go live. There
We're
we go.
live.
We're live. We're live in the in all of the things Ted McGrath. Hey, so we're here with Ted McGrath as always. Hello, Nora. And today I want to talk about something that I find really important. I've learned it from you, being around you, and that's the idea of investing in yourself. And investing in yourself is something that initially it was like, well, I'm going to buy nice clothes or I'm going to buy good food or whatever. And then I realized, no, there's like obviously training and learning and mentorship. So I wanted to talk about that because I think sometimes you either understand the idea of investing in yourself or you sort of pull back from it because like, oh, I don't want to spend that money or I don't want to do this. And it might not even be money. So can you talk about that and how you started that process for yourself and learning for yourself?
Yeah. I mean, initially, it's funny. I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, but initially, I didn't I didn't invest in myself, like in terms of for creating wealth. So I think that was the first thing to realize is like when you get started, I think everybody's got different mentalities and different philosophies on things. And wherever you learn it or wherever you pick it up. But I didn't start out with like an investor mentality on money. When I was a kid, I remember I saved up money when I was like refereeing and umpiring and stuff, and working when I was like 12. I would save up money, and then when I started to drink in my teenage years, I kind of went out ethics with my money, where I just wasted it because there was no basic purpose that I had in terms of investing in myself or getting wealthy at a young age or, becoming an entrepreneur or doing anything like that. And then as I got into when I was 21 years old working with the insurance company, my driver in life was to make money because I saw the kids around me when I grew up, they all had money. They had cars that they drove to school, like nice cars, they had nice houses. And we weren't poor, but we didn't have a nice house. I didn't have a car when I was a kid. I didn't have the clothes that they had. So the driver was to make money so that I could have those things, And so at a young age, when I made money, I was a lifestyle kind of entrepreneur, So I was investing into things like I got the car and I got the suits and I got the clothes and I could go out and do the bottle service on the weekends. And I was so anti actually investing money and saving money for myself at a young age.
Yeah. How did that, because that's interesting. We talked about that a little bit last week about the lifestyle, investing in the lifestyle. And there was this great commercial years ago. I don't know if you remember it. These two guys are on a street and one guy's like, a nice like Honda or whatever car. And the other guy's like in this like souped up, like really super sports car. It's like, whoa, 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 and the guy looks in the sports car and he like takes off down the street. And the next image in the commercial is the guy who was in the Honda. He's hosting a party at his house and the doorbell rings and he opens it up and the pizza delivery guy is the guy from the sports car, right? And he's got to like do all of these gigs just so he can pay for the sports car, right?
Right.
It's an interesting thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's part of like I don't know, maybe keeping up with the Joneses in our society,
Yeah.
So, when you don't, it depends also who you're around and who you learn from. I mean, my mentor, he always told me, put away money. I'm like, why? Like, and I also would ask why, because the financial company I was working with, I didn't really believe in the stuff that I was selling, which is pretty bad. But, I bought life insurance because I sold it. And I shouldn't say I didn't believe in life insurance at the time, because the things that we were doing with it, I believed in. But it was strategies more for like, to set you up when you retired. And it was a really good, like kind of safe leveraging strategy for when you're retired. But I was 22, so I wasn't thinking for 65, 70, 80, 90 years old. That's a long time horizon. So I think if you don't have a game that's immediate with your money, where you can start to see the fruits of it or have some, really understanding and knowledge of what you're doing, it's hard to go, I'm going to go save money and put it over here when you don't know what it's going to do. So mine was all about lifestyle and enjoying and spending it because I worked for the weekends. But that eventually, but one of the things that I did invest in, that I would put some money into, was different coaching programs. So like one of my first investments was in a coaching program with Dan Sullivan, who runs a company called Strategic Coach, and it teaches entrepreneurs how to focus on their unique ability and their unique talents and things that they're uniquely gifted at. So that was fascinating to me because I was working for money and I was working for the weekend. So there was no central purpose of building something around my unique abilities and talents. So there was no deep passion there. But when I started to take that program, I started to learn, wow, you can build stuff around your talents. And what are my talents? And, even to this day, I remember I'm going to be speaking on stages. I'm going to be writing books. I'm going to be doing, I've surpassed all of that stuff. Right. And so when I started to have a purpose, I was like, okay, well, the environment I'm in is not about, it's about lifestyle. It's not really about owning your own business. So I kind of had a new idea of who I was. And so I had to change the environment. So I left and I became an entrepreneur. And when I became an entrepreneur, I still had that mentality, because when you make all that money, it starts to be wrapped up in your identity to a certain degree. And then you go, well, I don't want to lose this. Like there's a perception of me of being this. And I enjoy being this, because there is an element of, in money, there's power, right? Because with money, to me, there's speed. You can move faster with money. You can do things more with money. So there's a sense of freedom. So when I got out to California to start my businesses, I still stupidly bought, it was almost $1 million condo back in 2006, 2005, something like that, 2006. I was driving a $110,000 car. So I was working in a business to still keep up with my lifestyle. And that it all changed when I lost. Like when my houses went into foreclosure and they eventually short sailed, and my car got towed out of the driveway and my motorcycle got towed out of the driveway. It was also partly because I was just like, God, I can't build a company trying to pay this big mortgage and pay all these things. I can't. Not that, like, would it be possible for me to do it? Yeah, but I didn't yet have the ability and the knowledge to do that. So I kind of decided to let it go, And when I did that, I was like, okay, well, what is this? Who am I now? What is this about? And it became more about, building a mission and doing something that was based on my unique talents and purpose, and then building a lifestyle doing that. And it became about then investing in my growth and investing in my ability to grow my business. And then I went out and got investors, because I was like, okay, bet on me, because I know what my purpose is. I know why I'm here. So now I was okay to go out and ask for money. I went out and raised $500,000. And I mean, was that like hard? No, because I knew sales. So it was just like when I would go out and raise money to pitch an insurance policy and have somebody write you whatever, or go have somebody, invest $1 million, I had guys, when I was 26, giving me $20 million to invest for them. No joke, like true story, right? I was 26 and they approached me. They're like, invest our money. I'm like, well, why me? Like, because we see how you go to the gym and we see your discipline and we see how you don't talk about other people and we see how you operate. I'm like, all right. So at a young age, I had big havingness, like the things that I would attract and pull in. So when I went to go raise $500,000 for my company, it wasn't a big deal for me. And then I realized, well, I didn't have the correct estimation of effort. You need more money to grow a company. And so then it became about, well, now I have responsibility for other people who've invested in me. Now I'm starting to get employees and I have responsibility for them. And now I have this purpose. So where my money actually needs to flow for everybody else's livelihood, right, and lifestyle to be maintained is here. It's a necessity now. And so that really shifted my perspective of responsibility. And to this day, I paid every single one of the investors back 10% interest. They all get their profit sharing checks now, started last year. And I've paid on everything that I invested in. I've made good on, and I made good on my word and my reputation. And so when you look at that, that's pretty good. And I've also become a multimillionaire in the process. Now, the next phase is like when you get to this level, there's kind of an interesting love. And I'm not saying I'm the ultimate level at all, but it's interesting now when you start to have money that now you've invested. It's a different game now, because you're investing to accumulate. When you started to accumulate, now you want to hold on to it and you want to grow it. And then it's about the decision of like, okay, you could put money in all these different areas. Where do you put it now? And it's not something I'm getting used to. Is like, I mean, I took $1 million swing in 2 weeks in my investments down in the last 2 weeks, So like having that to learn like, wow, money can go up and down that fast, is another perspective shift. And then you go, well, what's my money? That's my personal wealth, and what should go into the business. It's a whole nother game. You know what I'm saying? So now I got to get back to it, this new phase of investing in myself. But really, the place that I've gotten is I'm not a lifestyle person anymore. I don't. I mean, I live in this place, which is it's a beautiful penthouse up here, but I'm not a buyer. I didn't buy a home. It's not expensive from what I'm used to paying in LA, and I'm not investing in all kinds of clothes all the time and suits and all these things for my lifestyle. I'm invested in growing my mission and my company, and that's just my main focus.
Yeah, it's a great lesson, I think, because so often the viewpoint that people put out there, look, I got the nice car, I got the plane, I got all this kind of stuff, but there's not a lot of talk sometimes about how they got to that spot. And when I'm around you, it's really amazing. And I want to share this with folks who, I have the honor to be your friend and to be around you. And I see your lifestyle. You can pretty much have whatever you want. And is it important to live nicely? Yeah. But it rubs off on me to go, oh, I really don't need that. I can actually take that and put it somewhere else and have something greater come of it. Right. When you started investing in yourself, like what was the shift? Did you see a shift when you're like, okay, like I had to get rid of everything. The condo went, the car went, you had this shift, and now you're investing in yourself. What was the shift that happened to you, like mentally, in terms of growth? Did you mark that? Was there something that you could clock to go, yeah, I can see the change now?
Well, one, it was just like when you lose what you have, which I don't recommend anybody doing because you don't need to. But when you didn't really have that lifestyle to begin with, like you're keeping up to live that lifestyle, you don't really have that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have a lifestyle when you're in an abundance position and you don't even have to think twice about it. But when you're trying to keep up to maintain a lifestyle to look a certain way, you don't really have the lifestyle, and you don't really have a sense of who you are, at least for me. So when I decided, it was a decision to like, I can't keep doing this. Let me just let go of it. I could have kept up doing that, but then I wouldn't have built a company. And so it was just a letting go. And in a sense of doing it, it was like, okay, well, now what do I really want to do? And that's when I decided, well, I want to speak and I want to lead seminars, and great. So I got to go out and build that. So there was a complete shift in just, it was just a recognition that, like, I don't know, when you have the things, of certainly when they're gone, you miss them. But when you have the things, it's like, it's exciting for a little bit, and then you realize if you're not waking up in the morning doing something that's invigorating and growing towards the future, these things are not the purpose. You know what I'm saying? And they enhance the lifestyle, I think, when you're doing what you love and you're growing. But you could be living in a lifestyle and have a beautiful view and have a beautiful house or be on the beach like I was for the last 4 months. And if you're not growing, you don't appreciate it, unless your life is about that. So if your life is simply about working to come home to appreciate that, then great, you'll appreciate it because you're escaping the 5 days of work to come to that as an escape. But when your life is about growth and you're not growing and you have these things, they don't matter much at all, because your life's about growth and that's your number one value. And I think that's where I am. And when I started to invest in programs, like, it was just like it was a non-thought for me. Like, somebody would make a $75,000 offer. Great, let's go. Because I would see it and I'd be like, oh my God, I need that. And I would go do it. And even happened recently, like for us to take our company to the next level, I saw some new things. I'm like, great, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. I didn't necessarily have the funds in the business to do that. But I know that if you don't constantly perpetuate growth, if you rest for a second with it, something collapses. And if you don't constantly perpetuate growth, then one day you wake up and you're like, wow, those effects of not taking the actions a year ago just caught up and you just got smacked. So now I'm aggressively moving, grow fast and move fast on things, because I know that's what created my success to begin with. I know every time I've taken a risk like that, I've come out on top. And it hasn't been easy all the time, but I've come out on top. So I think you got to go through the phase of like you see something, you know you want it, and you're going to learn. And if you've invested in it, you're going to take something away that's going to help perpetuate your vision and your mission forward. And if you don't invest in things, you're not going to pull in the people, and you're not going to pull in the ideas. And if you don't invest in things, you're not even going to bother thinking about the ideas for growth, you know? So that's just, I think that's just what investing in yourself is about. And then eventually, once you yield the monetary benefits of your own work, then you're like, okay, where do I put my money to grow my money? And that's a whole nother mentality, right?
Yeah.
It's a whole nother mentality.
Let me ask you this, because, you know, you have your show Good Enough, right? Where you peel back the layers, you peel back the facade, you take the mask off, you know, and you're really sharing a truthful message. It seems to me like this journey for you, and maybe I'm placing this on you, but the whole journey for you has been peeling off and peeling off and peeling off those facades, right? Those things that are not really the core you, and getting down to that real basic message of who you are as a being, and sharing that. And, you know, obviously you have all the programs like Message to Millions and all these kind of wonderful things. Did being true to yourself, it's a rhetorical question, because it's hard sometimes to peel away that facade or show the true you, right? Open yourself up. How valuable was that in your life to just go, you know what, I'm just gonna talk the truth? And how valuable is that in the message, right? You talk about that all the time for business.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good point. It's funny. Last night I was talking to my girlfriend about this, and I was like, I had this realization. I was like, because I'm dealing with a few problems right now with, you know, in business. Like right now, like one thing gets fixed and the other thing is like, oh crap, right? So there's a lot of changes we're going through in our business. And one of the things that I said last night was like, yeah, you know what? My realization is like, when I first did my play, you know, I created that. You know, it was like true to is my life. Like nobody else has that. Like, so like I created that. I created the life experiences I had. I created the play. And so I created that idea that I wanted to go do that. When I decided that I wanted to integrate my play into my seminar business, like that was my idea. You know, when I decided that I wanted to put my charity, Drug Free World, not my charity, but Drug Free World's a large charity, on the back end of my seminars and invite people to my house and raise money, like that was my idea. You know, when I decided to invite my friends or my clients, some of them, to like a really cool place where I did my show that happened to be at my church, like that was my idea, you know? And so all that stuff, like when I was at the height of growth and creation with things, like those were ideas that were just unique to me. Because I thought it was the right thing to do. And there wasn't any considerations of whether it was something that was going to be approved by other people or what they thought. It just seemed like it made sense to me. And I think when I went to go say things in my story and say things that were honest in my show, I did it because I felt like I had to say these things. You know, it was like a calling to say these things. It wasn't said for any direct purpose to go, hey, I'm going to do this really cool story that's truthful. It was just a calling to be truthful. And as it became more truthful, I couldn't get up on stage and just tell a part of the story. I had to tell what the story was. because I wanted other people to walk out of there and have a realization of truth in their life. And that was really the purpose of the play. Because I remember sitting down with my first director and telling him, an experience that I had when I was 9 years old, and being honest with him, and then him telling me, oh my God, I had a similar experience that I've never told anybody. I remember the relief and freedom that he felt. And I remember, man, I'm onto something here. Because if it affects my director like this, and it's one person, imagine if I did it for an audience of people. And then I just got up and started telling the truth. And when I went to go do the play, when I had no acting experience in my entire life, it was just because, like, well, if I went to go ride a bike and I hadn't ridden a bike before, I'd still ride a bike. So anything you do for the first time, I don't know, some people go and do it phenomenally, some people don't. But most people, they do it the way they do it the first time, and then they get better and better and better and better and better. And then yesterday I was kind of like, well, what does age have to do with anything? Who cares? I was looking at the clock. I'm like, what does time have to do with anything? It's a created thing. So all these things are just like considerations that people have. And then people have failures, I think, in life, and then they put their failures upon other people, and they go, well, yeah, that's not the way it's done. And I'm like, well, that's not the way maybe that, you do it, or that's not maybe the way that Harry does it, but the way that I do it is the way that I want to do it. And I think sticking to that in your life is something important. Like what we're doing with Got Dreams, like it's not created out there. Some people might say it resembles this, but no, it doesn't resemble anything, because the way we're doing it is totally and completely unique, right? So I think there just needs to be more of that in the world. And I think the greater risk is not doing those things, particularly when you get to a place of wealth, you start to get a little comfortable, or you want to hold on to it. But like, you don't hold on to your wealth. So when you get wealthy, somebody's coming, they want your money to use it for good, or for some reason, somebody wants your money, because money's meant to be exchanged and used in the world. So you better keep building it, protecting it, creating it, and using it for good to multiply it and help people.
I love that, man. And, sharing this for those that don't know, I had the honor to direct you in the version of your play that we did in Los Angeles, the 6-week run. And what is a testament to what you're saying is the fact that you had never, sure, you'd been on stage and you spoke, but you had never really done a run like that, in a play that long. And it's a testament to the truth, because when you got up there and told the truth, you can't like fabricate that. You can't manipulate that. You're just up there sharing. And I also think that that's what, again, attracts people to, your programs and who you are as a person. And it's just complete honesty in every aspect, and that growth of where you've taken your business, where you've taken the people around you, the people that you surround yourself with. And again, I just think it's a great and valuable lesson on this. And certainly I'm glad to be around you as you're growing and sharing your expertise.
Yeah, I look back on that time, and that was fun, when we did that, because I also had the ability the opportunity to be around you, and you would say something, right? Because you have 30 some years experience in it. And then I would go try it. Oh my God. Okay. I understand now. Right.
Yeah.
So when you get to learn, when you get to observe from somebody like you, who's done this for so long at the highest level, and then you go, okay, well, what's he mean? What's he mean? All of a sudden you try it, and then you get it. And, oh, I got it. Right. And you kind of get it in your own way, because you're applying it and doing it. And by doing it, you understand it. And that was the most exciting part for me in doing that. And then I remember we had Joel Zwick there, and he just thought the stories were outrageous, but to the point where, like, it was a unique show, to where you got a guy of that caliber, who created My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and he really genuinely enjoyed the show. He laughed through the show. He loved the story. And then we had we had some other actors and actresses there. And I think there's two kinds of people. There's people who walk in there and be bridged up because they didn't do a show themselves. And then there's other people who would come in and go. I remember this one woman who came up, was an actress in a well-known movie. She's like, how did you do that? Like, you've never done this before. And like, she was fascinated.
Yeah.
And I think that's the appropriate response, right? Like, you could be critical of anything and go, well, he could improve there, he could do that. But the appropriate response, when somebody gets up and bears their soul and tells the truth and goes for something, you just got to step back and just go, the appropriate response is like, well done,
Yeah.
well done in going for it. And we had such a great group of people who came to that, which is why I can't wait to do it again. It was another realization I had last night. I was like, I miss doing that, being together in person and hanging out and having lunches, because all the other things like the business stuff can be done in between that on breaks and whatever,
Which you did. Like, I'll share this with you, which, by the way, it's part of the reason, if you look at the gestation of what Ted has created, guys, here he created this one-man show, which he had never done before, right? He's like, I'm going to do this one-man show, which then turned into him doing it in his business, and then turned into doing a 6-week back-to-back everyday run in Los Angeles at a theater in Los Angeles, which then turned into a film, which we're doing, which then turned into an entire platform called Got Dreams, which then turned into what's happening now is this ability to go out and create this platform for artists to get out and tell their truths. I mean, do you see one idea that Ted had that he put into the universe, created all of this other stuff? And we had so much fun. And I would say this to you, and I'm going to say this to everybody who's watching. Again, Ted had not done this. And I had never seen anybody assimilate, like, here's a note, here's an idea, assimilate so quickly, because it wasn't about like, I'm going to do this, I'm better than this. It was, how can I grow? How can I learn? How can I invest in myself as a performer or as a business person or whatever it is, to be able to take that information? And you took it and grew massively. And look what you're doing now. We used to have so much fun. I mean, we still have fun.
I know. It was just, those are the things I miss about being in person, It was It was a lot of fun doing that, and we'll get back to doing that in Edinburgh this year
for sure.
But those are the fun things, and like I think, to your point on that, had I not gone to do the play, I wouldn't have known what it's like to be an artist, and then I wouldn't have been attracted to go into see a Star Is Born and go watch that movie and come out with the idea of like, oh, we need to do Got Dreams and help artists. I wouldn't have known that had I not gone on the journey, and had I not observed, and then I had not seen other people, and I had not seen what was going on in the whole entertainment space. I wouldn't have had the idea of how to help people. And so, so I think you just got to step forward one step at a time, and know that if you're doing that in a place of truth, that it's a different path, which is your path, you're going to start to see different things and have different ideas rather than what's already been done and what's already there. And I think that's the exciting part about it. And I think the first step is just, invest in your purpose, meaning like emotionally, and just with certainty, invest in your purpose. And then from there, you got to invest financially in yourself. And then from there, you got to keep going. So that's it.
I love it. I think it's a perfect place to end our live stream for today. So listen, guys, the Facebook group is here. You can go, it's message 2 millions on Facebook, the number 2. So, we encourage you to come and join the Facebook group. For those of you who are watching this on YouTube, because we are streaming live to YouTube as well. For those of you who are on the other pages, please come into the group. And it is a private group, so you're going to have to fill out some information. It's really focused on helping you grow, helping you build. And, Ted goes live a couple of times a week in there, and there's a ton of information. So again, it's facebook.com/groups. I'll actually put a comment in there. Message 2 millions. And buddy, thanks again for sharing your expertise and your knowledge with us.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. All right, guys. Take care.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.